Welcome back, guys. Or maybe welcome, just welcome, I guess, if this is your first time checking this out. We're going to do the solo RPG thing we've been doing. If you haven't caught up with us before, it's just we're playing normal D&D, except we're doing it, or I'm doing it, by myself. It's a very simple thing. If you watch, you'll figure it out very quickly. This sort of session, we are going off to meet Rimefire, the dragon wormling, to catch up with him and see if he is also being afflicted by sort of the chaos energy that we thought we had dealt with in the area around Split Valley Oasis, but we're now finding out maybe we didn't. maybe we didn't get it all. Maybe that corruption's still around. So we are going to check that out, and we're almost there. Actually, we crossed the Oasis Lake, we traveled up the river, and we have now sort of hidden off our boat, and we have to trek the last few sort of miles overland. It'll probably take us a couple of hours or so. But before we jump into that and meet up with Rimefire and start talking to him, I figured we should probably go ahead and step back just a minute and talk a little bit about sort of what happened in the last episode. So in sort of our last session, we started off in the trading post of Split Valley Oasis. That's sort of this trading boomtown that's turning from a village just on the cusp of sort of becoming its own city, maybe getting a charter or something like that. So we turned in our mission. We had brought back Dren's half-brother. We had finished things that we were doing in the ruined Oasis town, and we figured out all that stuff, and with the goblins and the gnolls and the orcs and the foreign faction, and brought that information back to Reeve Relendart, and they prepared payment for us. We had a couple of skirmishes with the cult of Narimana and some unknown mage, which we think might have been from one of our long-standing sort of shadowy enemies, Fargrim. We're not sure yet. Could have been from the Chimera, could have been from a lot of different people. So we're not quite sure who that mage was working for. But we were able to do that. Unfortunately, the corrupted plate mail that we were going to be paid with has not been sort of decursed. So they are now working in the process of getting a scroll or priest to be able to sort of decurse it. And in the meantime, we found out, just sort of talking back and forth with people, that there is this sort of lasting corruption that maybe we need to look into, because maybe that's not done, and we are worried about our friend Rimefire, the dragon wormling, who we have saved on a couple of occasions now, and hopefully we don't have to save him a third time, but we won't know until we get there. So while we were in Split Valley Oasis, we also had some other things we wanted to take care of. We had that sort of shady, what we thought was medicine from Gimbal, and we went and we found a sort of shady medicine dealer within Split Valley Oasis's mini markets, and was able to find out that it was a potion of enhanced intimidation. He also offered us a very nice poison that would deal permanent blindness in the poison condition. But it was really expensive, and we had just spent a whole bunch of money, so we weren't really able to take advantage of that. We had to spend all that money to try to get Leah some more spells and things like that. So, right, as we were doing sort of the haggling, that's when we found out about the lasting corruption, and somebody who got contracted with sort of this chaos affliction somewhere near Rimefire's lair. We're not quite certain where. But we do know it's in that area, so if Rimefire isn't afflicted, perhaps he can give us some information about that, which we definitely want to find out. We did return to Akari Liaden's estate, where the rest of our fellows have sort of turned into an impromptu base at sort of this noble's estate. And we kind of talked to them, because it's been a few weeks since we've, I guess, a week, maybe week and a half since we've kind of seen them. And so we wanted to talk to them and see what sort of information they... Actually, it's been longer than that since we checked in with them. It's been a few weeks. So we want to check in with them and see sort of what are the things that have been coming up that they've heard about, rumors, or observed while we've been gone. We learned that Gimbal hadn't attacked, which makes sense because we found Gimbal while we were at the ruined Oasis and killed him. So we understand that he wasn't there. So we don't have to worry about him nipping at our heels the whole time like he's been. We did run into that about the polymorph snake demon, and found out that maybe there was a Fargrim connection. That's what Maddie thinks, who's, of course, Elias is, who's the head chair of the university, of our sort of department, or was our boss at one point, and then Maddie is his sort of like aide, secretary, whatever you would call that. Omer gave us an update on the chaos corruption in the area, so we learned a little bit more about that. He said that he had met already with Rimefire once, he seemed a bit off and thinks that he might be potentially afflicted by the chaos now that we learned more about it, but he wouldn't let Omer sort of examine him to know for sure. Iola's heard about rumors about undead in Carjuntin, which we were very familiar with the undead in Carjuntin. The cult of Narimana are attempting to ascend to something unknown. Looks like it's connected to the undead that primarily hang out in the sewers underneath Carjuntin. And then sort of pop up primarily during the night when it's cool and attack people like us. And that's how we've come across them. Let's see, what else? Elias found that the cult of Narimana has been somewhat successful in lying to... in tying Leah and Omer to the break-in and fire at Riverside Conservatory, so that's not great for us if we decide to go back to Carjuntin. We've already gotten into plenty of trouble in the city, so it would be great if we didn't deal with that anymore. But I don't know if we'll need to go back there. I'm sure we will at some point, but we don't need to go back there right now. But that will be troublesome for us if we do. Elias found that the cult of Narimana has been somewhat... I just said that. Akari learned that the peddler pinned pushing some illicit drug to the people of Carjuntin, and that turns them into the undead, and pinned that on one of our other companions, Imbar, and that's why Imbar sort of has the beef with him. So that's not good either, so that makes us even less likely to go to Carjuntin and be able to move around freely without somebody recognizing somebody in there and picking us up. Getting in trouble with law enforcement around there. Let's see. Oh yeah, so we rested at Akari's estate overnight. We found the footprints of, it looks like 5 people around the outskirts of the Ryujin estate, sort of in the marshes. We sort of tracked it down, and we found in the sort of marshy wetlands, Imbar looked down into one of the puddles and saw a reflection. There was sort of this fear... sorry, it wasn't her, it was Ott. Looked down and saw this sort of fear compulsion trap, this glamour that had been put on this particular sort of area of water, as she kind of saw her own reflection in it, and it tricked Ott into thinking that the Ryujin's estate, where we've been sort of holed up, is an unsafe area, and we need to leave from that as soon as possible. We kind of talked her down from that. We were able to get her through the saves and get to that, but it did feel like, okay, this is somebody who has definitely realized that Akari Leiden's estate is sort of a safe base of operations for us, and seems very bound and determined to find a way through trickery to get us to not be there. So somebody's definitely watching us, and somebody's definitely sort of waiting for an opportunity to maybe snatch one or more of us, and who knows what they're going to do. They might kill us, they might take us somewhere, and I think it depends on who's setting the trap, and we don't know who that is yet, because we didn't find any more. We kind of lost the trail of them in the marshy area. We did borrow a boat from Akari, and we decided to head off towards Rimefire's lair. Gonna go back in, hopefully find him, hopefully he's okay. We'll find out when we get there. So as we were sort of paddling across the oasis, we came across some sunken ruins around the Grung's home that we've seen. We didn't see the Grung. He or they are out and about doing something, so we haven't come across them yet again. We did get attacked by a sea hag and a couple of red caps, and that was a pretty dangerous fight. We were able to get through it. We made it into the mouth of the river, and we made it up the river and basically to the Big Bend, where there is off the side of that mountain, and where we've portaged before. And so we pulled the boat up on the shore, took an area to hide it. We got a natural 20 on that hide check, so we're pretty sure nobody's going to find the boat. Hopefully that won't keep us from finding the boat when we get back. I don't think it will, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And we had a little sleep there. We had made a little camp there, and then we were going to pick up, finishing that sort of trek, probably last hour or two, walk to get to Rimefire's lair at that sunken water shrine, that sort of ruined water shrine. So that's sort of the situation that we are in right now. So I'm going to go ahead and hop us over to the map, so at least everybody's on the same page about sort of what's going on and where we are. So we can do that, and then I also kind of want to fill in some of the surrounding hexes, because we haven't done that yet. So let's do that. Let's do that. There we go. Alright, so you can see we are right here. Sort of where we've taken our rest. Let's go ahead and bring this up. Okay. Just so we have it. This just kind of gives us a little detail down there at the bottom about sort of what's going on with it. Alright. So I said first what I want to do is kind of figure out what these couple of surrounding hexes are. Just to see, since we're here to see, what kind of terrain it is, basically. So let's go ahead and get some of our first rolls up. Alright, 10. So 10, what is our primary hex here? It's this. So 10 is a bit drier, so that is going to be 1 step drier. No, 2 steps drier. Alright, so that means that this is going to be actually a sort of a... it would go plains, sort of step hex. Oh, which is the color, of course. I feel like this happens every time I do this. It's something to do with the browser, that it does not like to capture this orange color very well that I'm using for that, so I usually have to go back and change it later. That's okay. Just use a different, similar color right now. So that's sort of an area. It's kind of a scrub area, so there's not a lot of grass. It's sort of like rock and open soil, and then sort of plants like thorn bushes, yucca, things like that. Very sort of dry biome. And this next one over here that we know that there is some sort of hazard in, but we don't know what kind of hazard. We haven't explored that. Let's do that. Another roll. Up, and 5. So that's actually slightly one more verdant. This is actually going to be a full-on jungle square, or hex. There we go. Alright, perfect. So we've picked up here in the morning. We finished our long rest. We fit in our boat. We need to basically travel here. So we got really close, but we just kind of ran out of energy there. Let's go ahead and look over here and get our trekking up. I think we'll need it. So as you can see, we just hit the Constitution threshold. Let's go ahead and roll a new Constitution threshold. So first D20 roll of the game. It's Constitution saving throw to just kind of figure out how much energy we have to sort of walk throughout the day. It's a different way that I sort of do overland hex crawls, that instead of trying to track time through hexes, just track the amount of effort it takes to get through that hex. Adds a little bit of randomness, adds a little bit of planning to it. It's just a slightly different way to do the same thing. I like it better. It's whatever. Some people like that, some people want to track time and distances. Alright, so it's Constitution saving throw, we're going off of Leah. We do not have advantage because we're not using the boat. And we left our mule back in town. So we don't have either one of those things with us. So it's just straightforward. Luckily we only need to go 1 hex, so that's guaranteed. Alright, so a 16, she has a +2, I believe. She does indeed. Alright, so 18, so right where we were. Well, that makes this easy. Alright, is there anything else we need to do from our long rest before we go off? Let's make sure that we update everything in our character sheets. This looks pretty good. Just want to make sure everybody's hit point totals are... If everybody's hit point totals are topped up, I've probably done it. It would appear that everybody's hit point totals are topped up. Oh, I guess I should introduce the party, just in case that you're new to the game. Leah is our primary PC. She is a high elf wizard. With her is one of her old companions from her days as sort of a research person at Riverside Conservatory, and that is Omer. He is a human. He is a everybody else is a sidekick character rather than a fully fleshed out PC. He is an expert 5. He's an academic researcher. We also have Imbar, which is somebody that Leah knows from a long time back when she, had a misspent youth for a little time that she spent as sort of an adventurer, and now she's back adventuring again. She is a warrior 5. She technically has the hobgoblin background, but she is a human. So that just means that she's built off of a hobgoblin. She's a big fighter. She wears heavy armor. She swings right now she's swinging a longsword, but she usually swings a warhammer. We also have Ott, who is our expert 5. That's the person we started, our first companion, the OG, that we started off the campaign with, that Leah had paid to be a guide for her. She is a 7-foot-tall gnoll, and she is a gnoll hunter as that background. So she's an expert. She's really good at sort of survival, tracking, guiding, that sort of the outdoor kid skills, where Leah doesn't really have a lot of those. And then the last one, which is our newest addition to the party, is Jurgen Bronwood. She is a dwarf that we found tied up in the ruined oasis, sort of under complex city, whatever we want to call that, dungeon area. So we found her and brought her back. She is a healer. She's an acolyte. So she, as a sidekick, that means that she's a caster, but she's primarily focused on the healing side. And she is a dwarf, and that's about it. Not really anything else we need to know about that. Right now. We still don't really know why she was tied down there. Even though we had just a little bit of downtime, we had some other pressing matters, so we haven't really jumped into sort of like what's going on with Jurgen yet. Or if there's anything going on with Jurgen yet. We don't know. Lots of question marks. But that is where we are. So let's go ahead and... Never mind. Alright, so we're going from here. We're going right here. Super simple. So we roll a d4 to see how much sort of energy we expend. 3. Okay. So we're 3 of 18. Not bad. But we did basically walk across a mountain. Or around the side of a mountain, probably. Or maybe a pass. It doesn't really matter. Pass through it. We do need to see, did we in fact come across anything? We did not. So if we roll a 1, there's usually some sort of combat encounter. If we roll a 12, there's usually some sort of non-combat, sort of, not even usually a challenge. Sometimes it's a challenge. But it's usually a non-creature sort of thing that happens. Might be just a nice vista that happened last time. I think we came across it. It could be some sort of hazard. It could be a lot of different things. But we came across neither of those things, so we are fully into the area with Rimefire's lair. Now, we don't need to look for Rimefire's lair or worry about a point of interest in this hex, because we already know what it is, because we've already been to it. It's the abandoned water shrine. It's been converted into Rimefire's lair. So we take a little time, and I'll go ahead, what I'm going to do... Well, no, I'll wait to do that. I was going to go ahead and roll another Constitution progression, but let's not worry about that yet. So we find Rimefire's lair. Well, let's just make sure. It's been a minute since here. I'm gonna say that we have advantage and guidance for this. And I guess we'll use odds. Survival? Sounds right. Oh no, we rolled awful. Well, well, that's the problem when you decide to make a dice roll. So we kind of get turned around, I feel like. We do not have an exhaustion level anymore. So we get kind of turned around so that we are going to take some extra time. And I think Ott kind of leads the way and then realizes, we haven't been here for a while. But it doesn't take us long to get back on course, I feel like. So we just spend a little bit of extra time, another hour or so, sort of tooling around in sort of the dry forest jungle area. Trying to be like, wait, which was it? Where's that landmark? This way? So we're getting a little turned around, but we are going to do it. I'm not even going to make us roll for it again. All the characters have been here except for Jurgen. Most of the characters, or Omer has been here more than once. So there's nothing else really around. We're going to be able to find that water shrine. Basically, it is a sort of opening chasm in the ground that has sort of a sort of stairs down into sort of a, I guess it would be not an aquifer, an aqualus. sort of underground water area, like cave pocket, where there usually was probably was filled with water at one time, but now it just kind of has a little bit of water in it, but is mostly just an open cave system that has been converted a long time ago into sort of a shrine. It's got I think it's got like 3 or 4 chambers in it. There's a map for it. We're not going to need that map. I'm not going to pull it up. To get the top down from it is a Dyson Logos map, and honestly, I don't want to go find it again. So that's where we are. So we're looking at that. We kind of get in there. I guess from the outside, does anything seem amiss? So I think that's a perception check. We'll let whoever's got the best perception, which is probably Ott, kind of give it a once over. Well, we could do an insight. We could do a perception check or an insight check. Let's do a perception check first before we come across anything Rimefire might have interacted with. So this is just to see if anything's out of sorts. So we got multiple people looking, so we'll use that. That's a pretty good check. Let's see what the DC is. Oh no, I've rolled a very high DC. Oh no, that's a 25 DC. I don't think we're even going to make that with the 17 with her bonuses. Let's look at Ott. She's trained in perception. No, that's +4. So we only got a 21, and our DC was 25. So we really have look at it. We kind of take a minute just to see if anything seems out of sorts, and it kind of becomes a situation where we are kind of over-examining things, and we're trying to make a lot out of nothing. And I think at some point we're like, I can't tell. I mean, maybe something's wrong, maybe not. We're kind of jumping at shadows a little bit. We're kind of trying to make something out of nothing, because we have no information to go on. So we're gonna move forward and step in. Who's gonna take the lead on trying to reach out to Rimefire? I think that's gonna be Omer. Omer has the best sort of bond with Rimefire, which is why we brought him along, because it definitely wasn't for his combat skills. He's a very specific sort of guy, but he does speak Draconic, which is helpful. So we're going to kind of go in, and he's going to sort of give some greeting, whatever the proper greeting for Rimefire might be. And Draconic's basically a like, hello, is anybody home kind of situation. So let's give him a persuasion check, just to see. Which he's not trained in. He does have a +1 to charisma, though. But he's going to have, I think, advantage just because of their bond. So 17. That's pretty good. Ooh. Unless I roll a really high DC again and roll a 22 DC. So Omer sort of calls out into the darkness this sort of slow dripping. I'm going to change the music just so we have it. So there's sort of this slow dripping of water, stalactites dripping down onto the ground, and it's sort of wet, and we can even feel that it's sort of like musty and humid as we sort of descend the first steps in there. We haven't sort of pulled out a light source yet, so we are kind of in the darkness down there. Just in the sort of entranceway as Omer tries to, let Rimefire know that people are coming in and that who we are. And he does that, and he calls out. And I think with that low of persuasion check, there is no answer. And I think Omer kind of turns around and looks back at the rest of the party. Kind of shrugs, like, I don't know. And so, everybody kind of looks at each other and like, well, do we go in? Do we not go in? Do we try again? And I think Leah's like, well, he could just be out hunting or something. How much do we know? We know quite a bit about dragons. That is sort of certainly Omer's background. So let's see, advantage with a little bit of guidance. God, I'm gonna have to replace this mouse. It keeps double clicking it. 10 plus some bonuses. Okay, yeah, we definitely got that. That was DC 11. So we understand. So at least we know that we have the knowledge of it. Are dragons usually, do they like hunt in the day? Yes, they very much hunt during the day, especially Rimefire, a dragon of Rimefire's type. they almost exclusively hunt during the day and not at night. So there's a high likelihood that maybe he's just not here. He's already taken off for the morning. We didn't see him take off. You go, well, he could just not be here. It is still a Dragon Slayer, though. We should be careful. Also, where's his guard? Now, for those of you new to us or have forgotten, Rimefire actually has a kobold servant that we have picked up who showed extreme bravery trying to attack the party while defending Rimefire. Wasn't really... It was a miscommunication is what happened. He attacked the party thinking the party were doing something terrible to Rimefire and capture Rimefire, and that is not what happened. We dealt with a group of kobolds, but there was one dogged defender of Rimefire that were like, you know what, you could stay around and be Rimefire's servant. So, we haven't gotten that. But we do kind of look at each other, and I think certainly Imbar and Leah kind of share a look when they start talking about, well, we could just go in and wait for him and be like, hey, you should know, Rimefire has at least one kobold servant. And we know enough sort of, as adventurers and as somebody who's dealt with dragons, that kobolds like to lay traps. So there's a chance if Rimefire's gone, if his kobold servant is gone, or who knows, he may have more kobolds at this point. There is a high likelihood that this layer is trapped in some way. So if we go in there, we might trigger something. Let's see. Do we want to go in anyways? You know what? I'm going to give this sort of a charisma roll under for Omer, because Omer is the one who has the strongest bond with Rimefire, and if he feels like Rimefire's in trouble, he's going to be more motivated than anybody else to do something about it. So this is sort of for him to keep his composure. That's 10, which I believe is exactly his... Well, his charisma's actually 12. So Omer is very sort of like fidgety, like he kind of wants to go check on him, but he's like, yeah, that's a good point. Definitely don't want to get hurt or accidentally attacked just because we're trying to check on Rimefire. Like, if they didn't answer, maybe they're not here. And I think Leah kind of turns around, well, you've interacted with Rimefire more than anybody. Do you know, is there like a specific place that he sort of hunts in the area that you know of that maybe he's communicated to you? That's a good question. Has that happened? I think that's kind of unlikely. That doesn't seem like the sort of thing they would talk about. So -3 to this roll. He goes, no. So that's an oracle roll for those of you who are new. So basically anything 11 plus is a yes. Anything 10 or lower is a no. We ask it yes or no questions to sort of get information about the world. And that's how, what kind of is our stand-in a solo RPG for having a dungeon master or game master that we can ask very specific questions and get answers to about stuff that's going on in the world, or about what our characters would know, or how the situation develops. So we got 10 -3, or 11 -3, which is a no. No, he hasn't really given me any of that information. I mean, we could go look for him. That's a good question. And does Omer have any more information about the hazard that's nearby? Maybe. I think if anybody's likely to know about it, it's probably him. So +3? No, he doesn't know anything. I mean, they do know that there is a hazard nearby that people have warned them about. But they don't really know anything much about that. We can see that on the map here. It's in this area right here. Speaking of which, we are right here. Let's go ahead and roll 2d6 while I'm looking at it. Come on. Alright, 5. Stop. 5. So, again, that's one more verdant. And that makes this also a jungle. I also do know that there's an isolated homestead nearby. There's some hill folk living there. So we are kind of like at an impasse where we try to figure out, okay, well, what do? Do we wait here? Do we try to brave potential traps by going into the what what is functionally sort of at the meta level, like stepping out of the in-character aspect, is Rimefire is in the process of basically converting this abandoned water shrine into a dragon lair. That is what he is doing. He's got kobold, at least one kobold servant. He is building his power. And that is right next to Drin's keep, even though it's going to be Drin's half-brother's keep now that Drin's dead. So that's sort of the situation. So we could do that. We could kind of go look around the area looking for him. I guess the easiest thing to do now is maybe we can search this particular area for any sign of that sort of chaos corruption. That's one of the things that we're most motivated about. So can we find that chaos corruption somewhere? So we're going to take some time to basically scour this immediate hex. So each of these hexes are about... I do my hex mapping in nautical miles, but for statute miles, just regular miles, they're about not quite 2.5 miles across from side to side. So, you know, it'll take them a while, but they can kind of split up. Maybe they don't split up and kind of search. Well, here's the thing, is if they split up, I'll probably give them advantage on the checks. Do we want to split up? This is also going to take some time. Alright, so 3. We're going to add that to our progression tracker. We're also just kind of tooling around, so there is a chance we're going to run into some creatures. I don't feel like we feel particularly safe in this area. We don't really know this area very well. So don't think we're gonna split up. I was going to give us advantage on searching sort of the area if we split up, but we're not going to do that. So it's just going to be a flat roll. And this is just going to be, I guess an investigation roll. Since we're not going to give us advantage on it, but we still will, I guess, use guidance on it. Alright, so that's 13. Investigation, we're going to let Leah lead it because she certainly probably has the best investigation. So 13 plus... She is trained. 13 plus 6, so that's a 19. So she has a 19. Let's see what the DC is going to be. DC 16. So we did indeed succeed. Hey, how are you? Yeah, happy holidays. How are you? Yeah, hopefully you had a good one with you and fans and family and everything. We're jumping in doing the solo RPG thing again. So thanks for coming out and checking it out. Alright, so we did succeed. So do we find any evidence of chaos corruption? I think that's... I don't want to say it's 50-50 because we have had rumors of it in the area. So I think I'm going to give it a +3. If we find anything about the corruption. 9 plus 3 is 12, which is a yes for us. Alright, so we do find some evidence of corruption. Let's follow that up with another question. Is this... I think this is going to be very much water related. Is that what we're getting here? No. Okay, so it's not water related. Interesting. So if it's not water related, is it sort of a miasma, airborne kind of thing? Question mark? I'm trying to know if we could even be able to understand that. We do know that this is chaos corruption. That feels like an Arcana roll. So again, I'm going to give Leah an Arcana roll. She is going to get advantage on this one. Well, I think. Let's see. Do we have anybody else who's trained in Arcana? We might not, actually. Oh, no, Omer's. That makes sense. That's who I thought was going to have it. Alright, so... yeah, sure. We'll throw... Jurgen has guidance. We finally picked up somebody with guidance. So Jurgen's going to... right? Jurgen does have guidance. Yes. We finally picked up somebody with guidance to help us out with some of our rolls. Such an OP cantrip. Super useful. So... oop, not that. Alright, it's a pretty good roll. Alright, already a 21 plus her 6. So 27. So probably gonna make this check. Oh yeah. That's a DC 13. So we more than double the check. So this is, I feel like this will be a definitive answer about the Arcana. Can we, for sure, I think with that we know the vector of how the corruption spreads. So we know it's not water related. Or we don't think it's water related. So is it air? Is it like miasma? Yes. Okay. Like, oh, it seems like some sort of foul air. Is there anything in our investigation that we did where we rolled so well? Is there anything that we can do to sort of like clock it? Is there like some sort of visual indicator of an area that's got this corruption on it or anything like that? I think so. I think there has to be, or else a lot of other people would have it too. We've really only come across like one person and the old water myrmidon elemental that we think came from the shrine, because that's where it returned to for its final battle. So something that's in that area. Now I'm thinking it's literally that hazard in the next hex over. So I think we're definitely going to go check that out, since Rimefire's not here. So let's ask, is there any sort of visual indication that we know that we are in that area? I think it's a 50-50. I'm not sure. I feel like it would be more thematic if there was. It also would keep us from chasing our tails a whole bunch. Let's say +3. Okay. Didn't need it. So yeah, we determined that, yeah, we can see, you can see that there's some sort of miasma. I wonder if it's sort of like heat waves coming off of like concrete, coming off of tarmac, or that everything's just kind of a little, or like walking, when you see, you know, video of the desert and stuff like that, you just, the heat just kind of changes and fluctuates the view, refracts the light and things like that. Is that what it is? I mean, we don't have to roll for that. It could be that. It could be some sort of like color, maybe purple smoke, or it could be all sorts of fun stuff. I think what we should do is we should go investigate the hazardous area, and I think once we get there, that will help tell us. We can illustrate more of what's going on. So yeah, that's sort of the situation we're in. Let's go ahead and make a couple notes, just so we have it. Go to our current session notes. So let's just type in some notes real quick, just so we remember this for their next recap. Okay, I think that's enough. We traveled to Rimefire's lair. He's not in residence, or at least not answering. We decided not to go in case there are kobold traps. Rimefire is likely out hunting during the day. That's usually when he does his sort of hunting, especially as a growing boy, as Rimefire the Wormling truly is. And we decide to search the area for corruption and determined it's airborne in nature, that there is some sort of visible indication, and it's likely coming from the nearby hazardous area. But we don't find any here, which is the important part. So Rimefire might be weird. He might be dealing with it. We don't know. Maybe he's sort of kind of going out of his way to deal with it. But that's sort of the situation we're at. So, let's take a look at this. So we're here. We could just go check out the hazardous area. We're right next to it. We know that it's there. People haven't really told us anything about it, though. We still got quite a bit of, as far as Hexcrawl Tracker. We're not even quite halfway through the day yet. So I feel like we feel motivated that we can go and make that, and maybe when we come back when it's a little bit later in the day, maybe Rimefire will be back. So yeah, I think we're gonna hoof it over there and see what happens. Now we were investigating here. Before we do that, we should check to make sure if there's an encounter or not. There's not, and we're gonna move on to the next hex, which does this, and then we'll check for another encounter as we move that way. So it takes us a little bit of time. We don't come across anything. Come on. There we go. So we don't come across anything, and we move into this sort of area where there's going to be a real nasty hazard in here. So we're going to approach. We're going to let Ott lead the way. And we're looking for her to pick up any sort of visual indication as to something's off. Like we said, we know that it's sort of chaos magic infused. So it could be unnatural fog. It could be some sort of weird tint to the light. It could be, we talked about the heat waves. It could be a lot of, but we're pretty certain that there's some sort of visual indication to the corruption. So, just gonna do a little, I guess, I was gonna say perception, but I think this probably feels like more of a survival check. I feel like as a guide of somebody who knows sort of safe areas, that feels more survival to me. And she's got the full suite. She's got the guidance. She's got the roll. She's got the advantage for a whole bunch of people with her. 18. That's a good thing about traveling in a group. Got a bunch of bonuses to checks because everybody's looking out for the same thing. So 18 plus her bonuses. So I'm gonna guess that we figure it out. Let me see. Let's go. Actually, let's try this. Well, that's a 15 DC, so we definitely got that. Don't have to worry there. So, all right, we do kind of run in. We are able to sort of pick up that we're in the right area. Do we, in fact, see the visual indication? We absolutely do. That is a natural 20. And that's going to give us some sort of edge. Let me grab my DM bind. I don't need to do that. I forgot. I moved it over into the list. We can just do it here. It's going to give us some sort of edge or hindrance, I feel like, because we did a nice little crit. What we got? An 8. Oh, we gained some sort of resource. Unfortunately, I think we're pretty much topped out on resources. I don't think anybody's lacking anything. Yeah. Everybody's pretty much stocked up. So what could it be? What could be a... Well, it could be we gain... Maybe it's just something of value. Well, here, let me ask this. Do we find something that's useful against the miasma? I think that's extremely likely, actually. So +5. Yeah, alright, so we find something. I think this is maybe sort of like a gas mask or head covering or some sort of... Something we found out now that we know that the miasma is sort of airborne, like chaos miasma is airborne, that we've come across the remnants of somebody's sort of like face covering or something like that. Come across that. I think that's... You have Ott sort of like pushing through the underbrush of the jungle. And then she kind of parts some plants and gets down there. Picks it up and it's like this long, I think it's probably like a cloth, maybe like a sachet thing that's got like cleansing herbs and things like that in it. slightly damp. Turns around and kind of hands it off to Leah. Again, she doesn't speak like full fluent common. How would she say that in very broken common? Bad air face mask. I think she kind of hands it off to Leah. Leah kind of looks at Omer. Do they have any experience? They were sort of like active researchers, so I think it's extremely likely that they've used this sort of gear before. Yeah. Okay. So they kind of clock it. Omer and Leah kind of clock it immediately. Ah, right. Okay. Well, we could probably fashion some of these. Dang, I really wish. She kind of looks around. I really wish we had Delg with his healer's kit. I'm sure there's plenty of herbs in there that would have been super helpful for this. Well, we'll have to make do, I think. I think it kind of opens it up and kind of takes a look. So they're going to take some time to investigate these masks to see if they can make suitable approximations for everybody. So that's going to take some time. And it's going to be a roll. So I'm going to give her... I think they're not going to have any problems based off of their previous roll and how useful this item is going to be. That they can definitely identify the things like the herbs and things like that that are supposed to be in this bag, in this sachet. The question is are they local? Like, can they just go find them in the immediate area? That I don't know. I think that's somewhat likely, so I'm gonna give it a +3. And I think this is just sort of like, well, I guess it's a basic knowledge check for probably odd. So sure, we'll give her the full suite. Nope. 19 plus whatever her bonus is, so probably. So she's gonna know for certain. Yeah, that's DC 10. Or DC 9, sorry. So she knows for certain. Now the question is are they local? I think that +3. I think somebody would be using local herbs if they could. Yeah, again, that's +20. We could give ourselves another edge, but we're literally dealing with an edge right now. So we're like, yeah, we could definitely find these are in the area. I think they probably split up a little bit to go and look for it. But before they do that, as they're sort of trying to figure all this out, is there a random encounter that happens? There's not. But they are going to spend time to kind of look around in the area, see if they can find it, and it's going to take them a while. They don't come across anything that's terrible for them, but they do spend a lot of time here trying to figure it out. So now we're chewing up the day. The day's well into the afternoon at this point. So we know that we've gotten into the area. There's definitely been people who have been here. We do feel like we have found a way that maybe that will help us protect us against the miasma if we decide to investigate a lot more. But we are kind of running to the point where maybe this took longer than we thought it was going to take. Do we turn around now and head back and see if we can catch Rimefire sort of before the sun goes down? That's a good question. Do we want to stay and hang out here, but then we have to travel through essentially the jungle in the dark, which is not smart or good. So yeah, I think we're going to turn around and head back at that point. And then maybe in the camping overnight, if we can get a chance to talk with Rimefire, we can use sort of that downtime of being in camp and resting to sort of manufacture enough of these sort of face coverings for everybody in the group that we can sort of investigate it maybe the next day, maybe tomorrow. That's sort of the situation we're in. So I think we're going to go ahead and hoof it back to Rimefire's. Oh, good. It's going to take all our energy to get there. But no encounters, which is the important part. Okay, so we are... What this means is that as far as sort of a 5e or 2024 character is concerned, we are full hit points, full spell slots, full everything ready to go. The problem is we've been walking all day and we're kind of dog tired. So it's not that it's going to hurt us in hit points or those sorts of resources, but instead this exertion hurts us, and we're going to start taking levels of exhaustion if we keep trying to do stuff during the today. Which would include, in fact, making those masks. That's not really a resting activity, that is a manufacturing activity. So that's sort of the situation we're in. We're going to move it back. Well, we hustle back here to... So down here we're going to put the... I'm just going to write Chaos Miasma. And I'm actually going to put this... I know it's falling under Rimefire's layer, but that's okay. Just so in the area, we can actually take Drin's Keep. We can take his name off of that now. That's not going to be important to us for a little while. You know, since he's dead and all. So we make it back to Rimefire's lair. We kind of come out of the jungle. The jungle very much sort of thins out, sort of dries out as we reach back and we find the sort of area that's sort of cleft in the ground that sort of leads into the ruined water shrine. Yeah, we don't want to be pushing exhaustion at all. It's okay to push it once because we'll get that back after a long rest, but any more than that, and it's sort of a spiraling effect if you keep trying to push it day after day after day. It's not good. It will be a bad situation. Which I like. I like incorporating it into the game because it kind of pushes you in a situation when you're traveling to be like, you need to rest or things will start going badly for you. Even without that having to be like, oh, you have to get in fights with monsters. Yeah, yeah, unless you get attacked during rest, which always sucks. Now, if we're resting in a dragon's lair, probably unlikely to get attacked. So we make it back to Rimefire's lair. We're gonna go ahead and, I guess just as we're rocking up, does anybody happen to see, can tell immediately that Rimefire's back? Nope, we don't get any indication of that right off bat. So we're gonna go in. Omer will try to say his hellos again in Draconic. He rolls really well this time, so that's a 19. How's that go? Oop. Okay, not bad. So the DC there was a 15, so we passed it. Is Rimefire home? Or somebody home? Yes, somebody is home. Is it Rimefire? No. Or at least that's not who comes to see us. So it must be the little kobold guard. And I guess question. I feel like more of an insight check. We did not know this kobold for very long. Can we recognize if this is the same kobold or not? I'd say insight or perception, because he would probably still be wearing the same armor. But actually, I don't even know if that's really a roll then. We'll just ask the Oracle. Yep, it's absolutely the same one. It's absolutely the same one, and he is excited to see us, I feel like. I'm just going to move this down. And he's sort of excited. Excited as in he's animated, not necessarily like he's happy to see us. We don't know that. We don't know the emotional impact of it, but certainly he is... People are good, for some reason. And we sort of bounce off the front. Ah, hi. You are here to see my Lord Rimefire, of course. Omer kind of like looks back at the group. Yeah, we're here to see Rimefire. People are good food. Turn back to... Okay. Alright, now it's time for a big oracle question. Is he going to... Is Rimefire here? Rimefire is here. Of course, please. Come in. Up, watch your step. And he sort of disarms the trap. Immediately, right within the doorway. Ugh, good thing we didn't come in earlier. You see, he sort of takes him through sort of like the winding passage, dealing with a number of different traps. I think Omer just politely tries to... This takes a little bit of time, so Omer sort of politely just kind of does some small talk. So, oh, is it just you and Rimefire, or do you have others to your band now? I assume that the kobold seems excited to see us, so he's chatty. Do they have more kobolds? No, they don't have any more kobolds. So Rimefire isn't doing a great job of sort of amassing his empire yet. But it's okay, he's still a baby dragon. He's got plenty of time. No, it is just myself and Rimefire. He sort of undoes another trap. This way, come on, come on. Oh, just you and Rimefire. Okay. Well, we heard that there's been some sort of chaotic miasma in the area that's making people sick. We just wanted to check in on Rimefire and see if things are doing, if he's doing okay, if you're doing okay. And yeah, I'm gonna give him a persuasion check on this. He's just doing it by himself. He's not really using anybody else. He's got a +1 to the roll. Actually, he might have more than that. Or might actually be trained at persuasion. He's not. So he just has the +1 from his own charisma. 18. That's a pretty good roll. And it will be enough. That's 13 DC. So he just kind of persuades him. Okay, and you know, to make sure that the kobold is open to talking to him about it. Oh, the miasma. Yes, we are aware. The Lord Rimefire is aware of the miasma. I guess we're looking at him. Does he seem afflicted? At this point, we will definitely lit up some sort of light source, probably an oil lamp. And the kobold probably has one as well. So we light up the lanterns. Can we see like any visual indication on him if he is... I guess it's a perception check. Give it advantage. Everybody's probably very much looking at it. Didn't need it. It's the same thing either way. That's probably going to be a yes. It certainly is. That's a big old 11 for a DC. So we kind of look at him. Does he seem afflicted? Yes. Oh no. What does this affliction look like? What do we think this visual affliction looks like when it's on to somebody? Since we haven't seen the miasma yet, we don't really know. So this kobold is still probably in the process of his scales changing color now that he's sort of pledged himself to Rimefire. So I'm guessing that he's... I think he was... Man, it's been so long since we dealt with this guy. I think he was... Were they black? They might have just been standard red. I can't remember. I might be thinking of... I think I'm thinking of a different dragon. I'm thinking of a different dragonborn from a different campaign that has multicolored scales. That is not this kobold. So I think this kobold was just a standard red kobold, and now we see that sort of... He's kind of moving through purple on his way to being... Well, I guess Rimefire's a white dragon, right? I feel like I always get this mixed up. Rimefire, the name would lead me to believe that he is a white dragon. We can just check it up and not have to guess, though. So let's go, where's Rimefire at? Oh, he's silver. Sorry. So we do see that this kobold is moving from... His sort of red scales are transitioning into sort of silver. So he's got this almost sort of... weirdly going from sort of a matte red to like a metallic silver, like reflective silver. So it does have this almost sort of like weirdly kind of burnished kind of brass kind of look, like this brushed, maybe like a brushed brass kind of look to it. And it's sort of transitions. So there's spots of white, there's spots that are still red as he's still sort of like moving through it. So there's some visual indication. Is it... I guess we could just ask, you know, I have a hit placement die. Let's use that. I have to get my dice out. Alright, so, yeah, we can see the extremities of his arm. His right arm seemed to have changes on it. Things that don't seem to be falling in line with sort of the overall transition that his body's kind of going through. So that's the case as we kind of look at him. Man, it could be a lot of things. It could be some sort of discoloration. It could be... So let's do this. Let's roll a... I guess just a flat... Yeah, I guess just a flat d20 to try to figure out the severity of, like, how this miasma sort of, like, morphs a person. So low, let's do this. High would be good. The higher it is, the better. The more sort of benign it seems. The lower we roll, the more extreme it is. Oh, that means he's barely got any affliction. So let's say that he's got, so it's his right arm, and it seems to be covered in, let's say, be a good chaos. I was gonna say something that's like ice or something like that, but that doesn't make sense. That's a little too close to a silver wormling's power already. Man, I didn't think I'd get stymied on such a very simple thing. Let's try to figure it out. Oh, I do have a description table. Let's just use the description table. I think I got it in here. I believe it's D66. Yeah, let's see if that gives us anything. 46. Oh, it's got an odor. That's weird. So his arm... Ooh, his arm smells like... You know, if you come across somebody who's got sort of like an infection or something, like it does have sort of like a smell to it if you get really close to it. So it is maybe that's what it is. There's some sort of like pustule kind of thing that's happening on his arm. It's incredibly minor though. So he has this sort of small, but it's really the smell that gets you. Yeah, stinky cheese. It's the smell that catches most of us. Most of the party. I see. Is that from the miasma? He kind of points down at the kobold's wrist. The kobold's kind of like... yes. Oh. Well, I'm sorry. We're going to see if there's anything we can do to help. That would be a great service to my lord Rimefire. Yes. And then I think at that point we make it into sort of the primary chamber, the big chamber of sort of the underground water shrine. And again, it's got like some pools in it. It definitely has a lot of sort of like small bits of water that sort of run primarily down the walls, but also drips from sort of stalactites and things like that into this area. And apparently Rimefire's in there, so we can see the dragon wormling, I assume curled up thing. How are we doing wealth-wise with Rimefire? Last time we left off, he was... Oh, okay. So we come into Rimefire's lair, and Rimefire has a... Like, we didn't think he'd really have any treasure, because I believe Omer very kindly gave him basically one gold coin and be like, hey, here's the start of your hoard. And it was a very sweet moment between them. But now we walk in, and dude has treasure. Dude has actual treasure in here. Like a surprising amount for us. He's still a dragon wormling, so it's not like Smaug, kind of like it's the entire chamber, kind of all the wealth of the dwarves of Middle Earth kind of thing. It is, but it is a good pile. It's a good enough pile that he can lay on top of it and rest on top of it fully rest atop it, and that is sort of where we catch up with him. I think Rimefire's sort of like, guests, you bring me guests. Of course, Lord. I believe you know these smooth skins. And that exchange is sort of like indraconic. Fire sort of like lifts his eyes and looks at everybody. Ah, it is good to see you all again. I hope you are in good health. How's Rimefire? Let's give everybody a perception check. It is still kind of dark in here. We only have 2 lanterns kind of going. So a little perception check. So I think we would have advantage. We're going to bust it down because of the low light situation. But we'll get the... no guidance, just straight. And we'll use whoever's best perception, which is probably Ott's. What is Ott's perception? So she has a +4 to that. Alright, so an 18. Nope. Rimefire is very much hidden in the shadows, the deep shadows of it. We can just kind of see the gleaming of his eyes in the darkness. I think Omer's like, it's lovely to see you again, Rimefire. I think he probably speaks mainly in Draconic. I think Leah speaks Draconic. But I think everybody else does not. Oh, no. No. So nobody else speaks it. So there's just a conversation that's kind of going on. And Imbar, Ott, and Jurgen are just kind of like standing around waiting. Leah can understand and can pipe in though, because she also speaks Draconic. Homer's like, oh, it's nice to see you again. We've been hearing reports about that there's the Chaos Affliction, the thing that afflicted that water myrmidon, that elemental, in the shrine. That we fought in the shrine and killed in the shrine. And we heard reports that more people have gotten sort of sick in the area. So we just wanted to come and, of course, check to make sure that things were well with you. I did notice that he kind of like points his like gestures towards the kobold. Your bannerman here has a little bit of the affliction of as well, it seems. Yeah. How does Rimefire react to that? I'll give him a little 2d6 roll. So not well. Not immediately hostile by any means, but not well. I think you see him sort of rear up and sits up full, and there's gold that sort of spills out that we can just barely see the twinkle of light in. Again, he's very much in the shadow, and you can see his eyes sort of flare. We are not sick, we are strong. Really sort of like sinking into that dragon's pride. He's got a little bit of wealth. He's sort of starting to get some of that pride and arrogance of dragons that he hasn't really had up to this point. Of course, that's not at all what I meant. Not that you need help. We just, because we care about you as a person, is all. This is how Rimefire responds. Just a sort of growl, low bass growl. I'll give him a persuasion check. I mean, these people do like him. He does share a bond with this guy. That's a natural 20. Yeah, so... You are a dragon friend. I apologize. I do not mean to raise my hackles. Please, come closer. And we step more into the room, our light starts to flood in, and we see Rimefire for the first time fully bathed in light. So we can kind of get a clock on him. Is he sick at all? I think that if the kobold's sick, it's likely he's sick. So +3. No, he's not sick. Or at least he doesn't appear to be sick. So we kind of look at him where I think Omer especially feels the most sort of like apprehension, the most anxiety about that, because he's worried. He's legitimately just worried about Rimefire. He kind of comes in, and the light washes over them, and they're like, immediately eyes are like darting over his body, looking for those sort of pustules and things. Yeah, exactly. Trying to be like, do I smell cheese? Do I smell any sort of like sickening scent? And it's hard to tell because we have the kobold right next to us who definitely has a light odor of that. But as we get in here, the water still smells relatively clean. This is a water shrine. It is a functionally sacred place that, as far as we know, has not been desecrated by any means. So there's something to it. It is... Now, Rimefire is a silver dragon, so as we step in here, we didn't say that earlier, the temperature definitely drops. We're talking about a pretty significant change in degrees. Not necessarily like this is an entire ice cavern. It is in a very sort of like hot and humid area. He's not quite that powerful as a wormling, but it is definitely cooler in here. It feels probably quite nice in here. If we're assuming that, what is our weather for today? I believe it's quite hot. What was our, let's go back. Yeah, so it's hot today. So we walk down there, and you know, we're gonna use Fahrenheit because I'm in the U.S. So we're talking about something that's probably in the upper 80s at this point of the year, maybe broaching over 90 degrees at this point. And then we're gonna walk down into here, and there's probably like a 20-degree difference. It's probably closer to, 65 to 75 degrees. So it's actually way more comfortable in here than it is actually outside. So we sort of step in. Ah, well, we wondered if you had also gotten sick. I think he's just gonna say, no, I'm not sick. Insight check, I guess. Everybody's looking at him. That's natural 20. Wow, a bunch of natural 20s. This feels like last session where it was nothing but 20s and 1s. Not a lot of 1s this session, though, so we like that. Alright, so we got a good insight check. Is he lying? I think there's an amount of dragon pride that keeps me from saying it's extremely unlikely that even if he was sick, he wouldn't admit it. But I am going to say we do have a personal relationship with the dragon, and he is young still. So -3. Is he lying to us? He does seem like he's lying to us. Or at least that he's being obsequious. He's not telling us something. Not necessarily that he's not sick, but maybe like he knows something about the situation, that he's clearly withholding some sort of information or dancing around something with his words. It doesn't necessarily mean he's sick, because we don't have any proof of that. Well, of course, as your friends, we'd love to help in whatever way we could. We feel responsible having brought you here as a place where this could be your home, this could be your lair. And if we brought you to a place that has even the slight potential of making you ill and hurting you and your kin, we want to make sure that doesn't happen. Firesword slowly nods. You are good friends. Good and true. There is... I think that he just kind of confirms about the miasma that's nearby. There is a place nearby, a place of fracture, a place of chaos. Some sort of fracture where that energy is seeping into this world. And I think this is very much, and this is all in Draconic, so most of the party's like, doop 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 doop, just kind of looking around because they can't really understand what's going on. But Leah and Omer are very much engaged. And I think they kind of look at each other, knowing their sort of background. Is this a primordial break? one into the chaos, the forge, the true elemental chaos. Does Rimefire know that? He may or may not. No. I am unsure. I have not gotten close enough to check. But because of that, I'm not sure if it's growing or not. I think, from what I can ascertain, when you defeated that water elemental, it feels like that power shrunk. But I'm unable to get, or have been unwilling to get close enough to learn if it's festering again. The best I could do is, of course, send my loyal retainer to perhaps get a closer look. And as loyal and dutiful as a servant he is, he did pay for that with his own affliction. And the kobold's very like, I would just lay down my life for you, Lord. My friend's like, yeah, okay, thanks. I know. But it's a possibility. And I think at that point, sort of like Leah's like, oh, actually, he like she pulls out what they have, the sort of like face wrap covering that they have. Looks at the kobold. Is this yours? That's a good question. Is it theirs? Maybe. It could be. But we don't know. We know he's been in the area, but we don't know we know he's not the only person who's been in the area. So I think it's just 50-50. Is that his? Yes. Yes, that is a covering that I wore to sort of try to protect me from the affliction. I think it did a very good job, but is not perfect. He says, kind of gesturing towards sort of like the pustules on his arm that kind of smell a little bad. Ooh, understood. And I think Leah kind of turns around and looks at Jurgen. Well, first she kind of, yeah, I think she just looks at Jurgen first. Hey, is there anything you can maybe do for this creature with their arm? And I think she turns around and looks at Rimefire, if that's all right. I can't foresee a reason why Rimefire wouldn't be that, except for maybe his pride. I think it's extremely likely. Does he let them heal Kobold? Nope, that's only a +5 to a 10. Like, no. Please. We can take care of our own kin. So that's sort of... We have this rising sort of arrogance of dragons that's sort of coming up in Rimefire as he becomes more and more dragon-like. As he sort of matures as a dragon. Please, we take care of our own. Ah, of course. She kind of looks back at you and is like, never mind. It's going to be a no. Perhaps... I think she kind of like leans over to like whisper in Omer's ear. Perhaps if we twist this to make our help maybe not just help, but maybe it is a service paid for, that might alleviate some of the pride that's kind of standing in our way. Does Omer think that's a good idea? Mm-hmm. I think he knows quite a bit about dragons. Yeah, I think it's likely that we think that would help. Yeah. It is a 20. It's like, oh, that is a fantastic idea, thank you. I think he turns back. Of course, certainly, don't misrepresent us. We are friends, but we do not offer our services for free. Of course, if there was some sort of business arrangement in which we could serve you, but also serve ourselves, I think Rimefire sort of leans back. This could be arranged. And what cost would it take to heal my afflicted betterman? I don't know. What price do we put on that? I think we put it like a low cost on it. I think Leonoma like, well, there's a bit of a materials, there's a bit of sort of like magic that's involved. I'm not sure I could do it. You know, I could give you the friend discount, I suppose. Call it 5 gold. I'm not even gonna roll for it. I think Rimefire agrees to 5 gold. Oh, a pittance. Of course. My kin are certainly worth 5 gold apiece. They're invaluable to me. Of course. And I think Rimefire kind of snaps his clawed fingers, and Kobold kind of runs over and like gets 5 gold out of the hoard and like returns it and hands it to Leah. She goes, of course. You're good, if you might. Yeah, Jurgen will take a look at it. I don't know if Jurgen has anything that's going to be specifically helpful here. She could cure wounds, but I think this is maybe like a lesser restoration kind of thing, which is not something she can do right now. So let's see. Yeah, let's just see. Is there anything she can do with her healing magic to alleviate that? Question mark. I don't know. I think if anybody's going to have a shot, she would have a shot. So let's give her a +3. Oh, that's a natural 20. Oh, okay. Yeah, so boom. So she can actually... I think we learned that you can literally just use Cure Wounds to heal this. So I think she does that. She just kind of comes in and gives out this sort of Cure Wounds, like reaches down and presses her hand against the afflicted area, kind of bad smelling, foul smelling pustules that are there, and sort of there's a light, radiant light, and she takes back her hands, and pustules seem to be gone. I think Jurgen kind of looks at Leah and just kind of like nods. It's a very good sign. Well, your Bannerman seems to be completely healed. Please inspect if you want to verify. I think Rimfire's like, no, of course not. We are friends. I trust you. And I think the Kobold's like, thank you, thank you, my Lord Rimefire. Thank you. Does Rimefire bring up hiring them to check out the miasma stuff? I think that's kind of likely. No, he doesn't. Still a little bit too prideful. So I think Leah will broach the subject and be like, of course you are a busy worm. And you do not have time to deal with the petty problems of something like this miasma. It is beneath you. If we could, for a fee of course, investigate it and see if we could find some end to this corruption, would you be amenable to bankrolling that expedition? Yeah, let's make a persuasion check. We're doing pretty good. I'll give us advantage on it. Good, we needed it. Leah has a +1. And she has +2. Alright, so we got an 18. Is that going to beat our DC? Yes, very much so. That's a DC 11. Yes, this seems amenable. You know, he no longer smells like blue cheese. Oh, you've never seen the solo play before? Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Check it out. It'll be fun. So we use these D20 rolls, these oracle questions, where we kind of ask yes/no questions and roll some dice to sort of approximate things that we don't know about the setting or story that's kind of going on. It kind of slips and kind of does the DM sort of position for us, so we can still be surprised as we play. So, Rimefire goes, yes, I could bankroll this. How much would you need? What would your sort of... I don't expect there will be a lot of treasure in this expedition. I think Leah kind of shakes her head. So we don't believe so. Well, too bad for me. I'd love to add to my hoard. Perhaps I could offer you a per diem. Let's see. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 of you. What do we think that per diem would be? I was gonna pull out my thing, but I don't need to do that. Let's say there's 5 of us. He's willing to offer 10 gold a day and give us up to a week to do it. And then on the suggestion that he gets a 50% cut of any treasure we find. But we are friends, so he gives us first choice as to what things we want to take out of that, as long as it's equitable. That seems like a pretty fair deal to me. Let's just roll. Let's roll an insight check. Just in case. 11 plus a little bit of extra. Oh, nope, that is literally the highest DC we can get. That is a, let's see, it's a 26 DC? Inscrutable dragon when it comes to negotiating. Negotiating with the creature, there are few harder creatures to negotiate with than dragons, with the exception of maybe devils. Like, they are inscrutable, and they are ruthless, and they're very ironclad. So we think that that's maybe an okay job. So let's go ahead and write down, I'm gonna write that down. Alright. Yeah, let's see. Oh, we gotta go all the way back. And the sachet. To protect against the miasma. We headed back to the lair and spoke with the gold and Rimefire. Gold afflicted by miasma. Has a bad smell and pustules. We also had Ryujin healed that. So we don't even need like a cure disease or lesser restoration or anything like that. So that's very good for us. But it doesn't require more potent healing magics. So we got by Rimefire. So 10G a day. 6 days, which is a week for us. It's a 50% split of treasure. We have first option on any items. Oh, how am I coming up with the DC? I have a video where I talk about it. The DC. Yeah, I understand how that would be incredibly confusing. The DCI is not just adding up the dice. It's actually a 2d6 table. Where starting at around 5 through 9, it starts with a base of 10. 3 or 4 starts with a base of 5. 2 starts with a base of 0. And then it scales the other way. And then the third die is just the number I add to this. So this is 8, so that would be a base 10 plus 3. So DC 13. Yeah. I understand. Looking at it, you're like, those numbers never add up to that total. Yeah, that's why. Maybe Cure Wounds healed because he was barely afflicted. That's true. We don't know the potency of it or how long he'd been afflicted. So it could be way, way worse. But that is sort of what we got. I think let's see, the only stinger that I think that we should put on here to sort of this agreement that we make is that we can use this as sort of a base of operations. Like, hey, we can rest here and come back here and we will be safe here. I think Rimefire's like, of course. And I think they actually make like a little blood pact pledge. There's sort of like a small scrap of paper that's sort of drawn up that has sort of this runed circle that's written on it, and then each of them sort of like pricks a finger and sort of places a dot of their own blood inside the circle, being like, this is a full contract that we have agreed to. So he's agreed to bankroll us for 60 gold, basically. And he gets half of any treasure we have, and of course we have a specific goal we are trying to attend to during that time. We don't have a very sort of like collateral or what if we fail or anything like that, because again, at the end of the day, this is still a contract technically between friends, so it's not super rigid. We assume that that everybody involved is going to be earnest in this, that they are earnestly attempting to do the things that they said that they're going to do. All right, and then I think at the end of the day, we're real tired. I think we're just gonna take a rest at this point. So we're gonna take a rest. So there is a chance that something might happen during the night. We do have to make 5, because we've got 5 people with us. We're gonna do 5 random encounter checks, but we're gonna have advantage on all of those because we are technically in a safe. We're not in a safe haven, but we're in a safer than normal place with other people. Like, I mean, we are still in the Dragon's Lair. There's likely that anything kind of is probably going to come in here to come after us. So let's do that. That's 1. That's 2. 3. 4. And the last one, 5. Alright, so we rest completely fine. Things go fine overnight. Everything's doing well. And we're going to pick up. I didn't even mark off Jurgen's spell. Doesn't matter. She's going to have a full stack of spells back. The only thing that's going to be different is that we're done with this. We're back down to 0 here. And our Constitution threshold, which we'll roll for right now. And we're just going to do a d20, straight d20. Ooh, we did not roll very well. Well, that's that. She has a +2, so we have an 8 threshold for today. So we are not going to make a lot of progress. We wake up. There's a lot of time that we spend sort of like putting together the face coverings and stuff like that. Try to get that through. So that chews up a lot of that sort of morning time to do that. As far as we can tell, I think the kobold is miasma free. Though we could check. Do we see anything coming back in the kobold? We do think the kobold is very lightly afflicted, barely afflicted at all. So, I think it's extremely unlikely that the miasma is back. That's a 9, and a 9 is a no. So the miasma is not back. He, as far as we can tell, seems healed 100%. Certainly we haven't seen those pustules return overnight and as we work on things in the morning. So yeah, we get up, we make those little sachet face covering wraps for everybody. Do that, and that takes up a lot of the time sort of during the morning. So it really isn't even until probably the afternoon that we're like, alright, well I guess we should get started going. Yeah. You're right, I should add the 5 gold to her stack. And that makes it 143. So she got a little bit of gold, not much. So yeah, so we're gonna head out, but it's later in the day than we'd like, and we're gonna head directly into the miasma. Even that, I think this may literally just be a test run to see if the sachets work. And so we're like, hey, I know it's like halfway through the day, but we can walk there. We can go in a little bit, see if the sachets work, just test them out before we decide to like fully dive into the area and start investigating things, and see if anybody kind of sort of comes out with any sort of issues. So I think this will give us probably a advantage on any sort of Constitution saving throws, and we'll figure that out here in a little bit as to what it is. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. Before we jump into that, we're going to take a quick bio break, and then we'll head back in and we'll check it out. And I'm going to go ahead and... so I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back in just a minute, and then we will take care of investigating what's going on here. Alright, guys. Hang in there. Be back in just a second. let's get back into it. So, we're going to make that sort of journey. We have figured out how long our threshold for the day. So, it is not a lot. So, we're going to move into the Chaos Miasma. So, let's do a roll. Luckily, it doesn't take us much energy to get in there, and we don't come across anything. So, that is perfect for us. So we get into the area, go into the jungle as it starts to get thicker and thicker and thicker as we move out of sort of the dry forest into the jungle proper. Right here, and if we get into there, we feel that we're getting closer and closer to the miasma. So we're moving into the area of the miasma. And as we do that, we reach the area and we're like, we should probably stop and apply our face coverings. So we do that, apply our face coverings. So I'm thinking I need to make a Constitution saving throw for sort of this hazard in general. But I'm wondering, do I make a flat check, or do I do a sort of ramping up DC, depending on how much time we spend in here? I kind of want to do the ramping up DC. And make everybody sort of have to deal with it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think this is going to be... I think I'm going to do very similar to basically how we do the Constitution threshold. Is that just for every action we take in here, we're also going to... There's also going to be a D4 sort of growth of Constitution saves that we need to do to get through there. So we apply our coverings and we go in. We get advantage on all these Constitution saving throws because of the thing. I guess, well, this is technically not poison, so Jurgen wouldn't get the advantage anyway. So we do need these coverings. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm just going to write a little note down here in the session notes. Oh, I realize you can't really see that very well. Well, all you need to know is that I'm adding just a little note down here at the bottom that's like, hey, plus 1d4 for sort of exploration turns in the afflicted area. So we're going into... Sorry. So it's a con save with advantage for face coverings. And let's make our very first one as we get in there and start to investigate a little bit. So how much? Oh, that's okay. So the DC is going to be 2, and then we're going to add 4 to actually start. That's for our actual exploration. So that's going to take us some time, but it's only a DC 2. So everybody's got advantage, so hopefully everybody should be fine unless we roll like 2 natural ones, which, you know, has happened in this game more than once. So, alright, Leah, fine. Imbar, absolutely perfect. Omer's good, and Jurgen. Fine. Did I miss somebody? Yeah, Imbar. I think I missed somebody. I don't remember who it was. Ooh, whoever it was very dicey, but also it's also fine. So we get into the area proper, and start to look around. Now can we ascertain sort of what this looks like? What it actually looks like? What is our visual indication of it? So we already noted a few things that it could be. So maybe let's do with that. Is it sort of like the smoke fog? No. Okay. Is it sort of the heat waves that we thought about? Yeah. So there is sort of that heat wave, and I think there is sort of that just baseline odor of that chaos. So there is this sort of heat waves. I'm just going to add that also as notes. just as visual notes. So we can see the areas where the miasma is thickest because it has the most sort of like visual distortion and has the strongest smell. So we've got the heat waves and sort of this infectious odor. We start to investigate the area. So in there, we're starting to investigate. All right, we got to do an. This could be investigation. This could be survival. This could be perception. It could be a lot of checks. Since we're using Leah, let's go ahead and use investigation because that's her strongest suite. But we could also use Ott, who's got expertise. Yeah, let's do that. Let's use Ott's survival. Just because she is looking to try to find what the sort of central point is where we think this miasma is spreading from. And she's going to have the best to do that because she has expertise in survival. So she gets a +7 to the roll. And again, everybody's helping out. So she's going to get the full advantage suite. She's going to get the full guidance from everybody. So she's going to roll really well. Yeah, that's 17. That's what, a 23? 24? So, I mean, probably going to make the DC. We sure did. I don't even need to roll the last die. Alright, so go in there. And it takes some time, you know. Again, each sort of roll kind of represents, you know, roughly kind of an hour of moving around. Sometimes more, sometimes less. It's very wobbly with the system because we're not tracking time explicitly. So we're going through, we're kind of dodging between these areas of sort of heat waves, also trying to avoid walking right through that sort of odorous areas that we know are really going to make us sick. So we're kind of winding our way through this sort of labyrinth of chaotic miasma, trying to find, you know, trying to circle the area, trying to figure out where the strongest sort of scent is. And actually, this might have been a better, let's make this more of an effort check. So I rolled really well. I rolled what? A 21? Is that right? I can't remember what I rolled. Anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a DC, and then we're going to multiply that DC by, let's say, let's spend some time here. Yeah, let's spend some time here. So I'm going to multiply this DC by 5, and that's sort of our effort gauge. So once we have to keep making checks once we pass that threshold, that target number, by adding our check totals together, then we'll know that we have very much sort of triangulated the center of what we think this miasma source is. So hopefully I don't roll particularly high. I didn't. It's a 14. So 14 times 5 is 70. Alright, so I'm just going to add this in here. I'm just going to add it to our current session notes. Let's see. Let's clean this up a little bit. Like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I rolled a 21, so I'm going to go ahead and count that as part of this. So we are over a pretty significant portion of the way to get there. Unfortunately, every time that we try to progress this, every time that we keep working on this, kind of closing the circle on where we think the source is, we're going to have to contend with that Constitution DC and maybe get the affliction. There's also more chance that we have to spend more energy throughout the day, and more chance that, of course, that we're going to come into some sort of contact with some sort of encounter of some time. We've been very lucky on our encounters so far. We haven't come across any fights. Fingers crossed, now that I brought that up, knock on wood. But now that I brought it up, we're probably going to get into a fight. That's how it goes. Alright, so that's sort of our situation that we're at right now. So, we are already kind of running out of juice for the day. And we definitely don't want to take exhaustion here. So I think we're, just to try to get ahead of it, we're going to try to push once, I feel like. So I think we're going to do one more action where we try to investigate a little bit more. So, what does that mean? That means a D4 for our thing. Oh, 4. And then 3 that's going to add to our DC. So we are at a... Oop, not what I meant to do. We are at a DC 9, and we added 3 to our DC here. So now we have a DC of 5 Constitution saving throw. We still have plenty of advantage. We don't have to worry about that. But let's go down the line. Leah, gotta beat a 5. Meet or beat a 5. Alright, Leah does it. Imbar? No problem. Omer? No problem. Ott? Also no problem. And Jurgen? Natural 20. She's doing fine. Alright, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, again, we're going to have the guidance for everybody. We're not going to count that roll. Reroll everybody. We're going to keep using Ott's plus 7. We rolled really well. Alright, so that's 14 plus 7, so that's 21. Alright, so we are up to... Let's get to our current session notes. We're up to 42. So we're over halfway there. We've really circled in and been like, okay, we're pretty sure this is it, but everybody's sweaty. It's even more difficult. It's even hotter and more difficult to breathe with these head wraps on that are sort of protecting us against the foul air. So I mean, you're just baking in this jungle setting. Everybody's just really kind of tired. We're like, all right, well, we should get out of here. So that's what we're gonna do. I did not roll for our random encounter though. Let's do that, just in case. All right, no issues there. So we're gonna head back. We're gonna get out of the miasma, remove the head wraps, and head back to Rimefire's area for a nice little safe. Like, there's no reason not to use our safe camp if we can get to it within a single move. So our DC goes up by our tracker progression goes up by 3 as far as our threshold, but we don't come across anything. Ooh. Ah. One moment, please. Oh, I did the opposite of what I wanted to do. There we go. Sorry, I'm just moving windows around. What is it? Plus 3, right? So, our progress goes up to a 12, and we need to make that Constitution saving throw. We don't get advantage on this one. And if not, then everybody's going to start taking exhaustion levels. I mean, we can pretty much just do this for Leah. Usually I just do it instead of making everybody do it. So she needs to roll a 10 on this die. She does not. She has 1 level of exhaustion. But they make it back to Rimefires. And we give a look over everybody. Everybody seems to be fine. Nobody seems to be afflicted. We don't see any pustules. Nobody... I mean, everybody smells like they've been walking through a jungle all day, so everybody doesn't smell, you know, good. But nobody smells like that sort of cloying sickness smell. Nobody has that smell on them. So everybody seems fine. We give a little report to... What's this? There we go. We give a little report to Rimefire and be like, we feel like we're sort of circling in on the center point. I think maybe in another day, maybe 2, we'll have it figured out. And we're going to do that, and we're going to do... we're going to set this to... I'm just going to add this here. Current progress 42. Day 2 of 6. So we're going to have another rest. We'll roll for it just to see if anything happens. Extremely unlikely that somebody's going to come and see us, though. Nope. So no overnight... Oh, sorry. That was one check. We should do all the checks. Oh, no. I rolled double ones. You know when I said that it was going to bite me in the butt because I talked about us not having any random encounters? Well, 2 ones means we're going to have a random encounter in this dragon's lair. I mean, the nice thing is we got a dragon with us, so that's cool. Alright, we are... Let's take a look at our map real quick to try to figure this out. Yeah, I mean, we are very much... We're in Rimefire's lair, so we are in a sort of outlaid kind of area, so that's fine. I'm just trying to figure out what sort of kind of creatures are attacking us. So we're in sort of the marches area. Some sort of natural creature. What's kind of going on here? One. Oh, just some straight up beasts. All right, let's take a look at what sort of encounter we could have. We are level 5, but this is still we're still dealing with kind of a level an average party level 4 kind of threat. This isn't really we have entered the next tier of play within the game, but this is not a adventure that's for that tier. We're actually punching a little below our weight here. We're actually dealing with something that's kind of a little bit easier for us for the most part. So I'm just gonna make it a little PC level 4. We're gonna make it, of course, always a hard encounter, and we're gonna set some filters here because we need some monsters, and we need them to be beasts. Come on, I gotta get a new mouse. Things driving me crazy. Swarm of insects. Swarm of insects could work, but let's see what else we get. Probably not sharks on land. Spiders, our classic one. We fought quite a few of them. Let's see if we get something else. Ooh, it could be giant hyenas. We have fought some of them before. Tiger. I think it would be weird if we got enough tigers for it to make sense. It would be 4 tigers. Yeah, why not? Let's say it's a pack of tigers. Why not? So there could be up to 4 of them. So let's see how many actually show up. Hey, what do you know? All 4 decide to show up. Right. So we are sort of in there having a rest. Now, of course, we are going to probably be able to alpha strike here because we have a full suite of things to our name and we haven't used any of it. Speaking of which, we have rested, so let me roll a d4. It won't matter. You get a d4 plus, or I think it's a d6 actually. d6 plus 1 back on the magic missile wand, so that's fully stocked now. That's good to go. So, having a nice little nap, and you know, some little pack of tigers show up, looking for a place, looking for maybe a new den, or maybe just a place to lay low for a while. Maybe they've been pushed out by the miasma. We don't know why they're here, but we do see them sort of crawling into the lair. Now, Leah's always going to be awake because Leah's an elf, so she doesn't trance. I did roll it on basically our second check, so yeah, that's going to be Omer who's at watch. So Leah and Omer are up, and Leah's, you know, still doing her trance because it's still pretty early in the evening, so she's still sort of in trance right now. She hasn't quite finished her trance. And Omer's doing his watch where he's just kind of hanging out. He may or may not be talking to Rimefire while he's awake. Rimefire's probably asleep. So he's just kind of, you know, just kind of watching. Is the Kobold Guard awake? I don't know, 50-50? No. So it's just the 2 of them who are awake. And let's see. Is Leah the person who sees these tigers first? Nope, it's going to be Omer. So Leah's doing her trance. She's sitting here. Actually, she's got her singing bowl. Well, no, she probably wouldn't be using her singing bowl. People would find that annoying. So she's just trancing. And as she does that, Omer's kind of, there's probably like a little fire they've made, and Omer's kind of like poking the fire, keeping it going. Then he looks up and he can see that there are these hulking, you know, lean, lithe shadows that are moving through the darkness in their direction from the entrance. Leia. I guess he should give a perception check. I'm not sure that they're trying. I'm not sure the tigers are trying to be particularly stealthy. So I'll give them whatever their sort of passive stealth would be, just for them just kind of being tigers, and give Omer a little perception check. I guess technically he's got advantage because we're on watch together. It's still not very good though. That's still going to be. What's it going to be? It's going to be what it is. No, he gets +3. So that's going to be a 14. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at some monsters. We need the El Tigre. Let's just go straight there. Alright, what is their passive sort of stealth? Oh, good. Their passive stealth is 17. No, he absolutely doesn't know this. So they kind of crawl in here. So they prowl in here, and they're going to attack. Oh, man. They're going to attack somebody. They've got a lot of targets in here. Probably not Rimefire. I assume he's sort of in the back. But everybody else is probably sleeping around the fire. So we've got Leah, Imbar, Omer, Ott, Jurgen, and then for the 6, and we'll just roll a d6. Because it's going to be the first person that gets attacked. And the 6th person will be our kobold shield guard, whatever that monster is called. So let's roll a d6 and figure out, who gets pounced upon. 5, Jurgen. And a tiger is going to pounce upon her. Yep. And gonna hit her for 16. Gonna make this pounce attack. Yeah, gonna hit all day. If the tiger has advantage on the attack roll, which they do, they take an extra 1d6 slashing damage. It has a prone condition. She already had the prone condition. Actually, she's incapacitated because she's asleep. So that is automatically a crit. So that's going to be 15 points of damage. Lovely. As this thing sort of jumps on her. That's, ow. So she is down to 31 hit points. As this thing jumps upon her, which, unfortunately, she does not have her armor on. She's the only one who has medium armor, so she has to actually take her armor off to rest as this tiger launches on her and starts tearing at her up, and we're going to just go straight into initiative. That is absolutely going to wake everybody up. So, we're just going to go down the road. Leah gets a 14. Let's go over to our combat tracker. So, we don't have a sending DC. We don't need to worry about these people. We don't need to worry about being in the water anymore. We're not fighting the sea hag. And we need to add Omer, too. And we need tigers. Tigers initiative, they have a +3, so they're going to get a passive 13. And they each have 22 hit points. Alright. "22, 22, 22, and 22. But they're going on a 13. And our first roll was above that, so Leah's going to go. So we got Leah. So 13 is our number to beat. To go in the fast round. So Imbar is Imbar has a +2, so she meets it, beats it. She's also going to go in the fast round. Omer also going in the fast round. Ott will be going in the slow round. So she's going to actually be after them. And then Jurgen herself will also be going in the slow round. That makes sense. She just got pounced on by a tiger. You stepped away to hang laundry and came back to a tiger attack. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, tigers are jumping into our dragon's lair here. They're gonna take off. So I'm not really gonna be too concerned with the kobold dragon shield and Rimefire at the top. We'll see if the combat progresses. They might step in, but I think right, most combats in D&D are over kind of like that. So by the time somebody gets ready to get to the point to enter the fray, it's probably going to be over. You know, functionally as far as like time, because even 5 rounds is like 30 seconds. You have to 30 seconds to wake up and get into the fight, and then the fight's already over. All right, so well, I guess I could do that. I'll make a do this. We'll do this. The end of round. So at the end of the sort of round of combat, at the end of the combat round, for Rimefire and Kobold to engage. So there's a chance that they might jump in at the end of the round, but at least for this first round. So Imbar's the first one who wakes up. Imbar also not in her armor because she also wears plate mail. So she is not in her armor, but she jumps up and, you know, she has her sword, lays right next to her sleeve. She gets it and grabs it and pulls out that moon longsword, and you know, it throws that sort of pale light across the entire room, and she pulls it free and turns around and charges at the one that's on Jurgen, obviously, and she will attempt to attack it. She will get advantage because now there's a white person next to it. Oh yeah. The best thing that you need to know about Imbar is that Imbar crits on the 19 plus, which she just rolled, and she gets to do her 2d6 because she has her adjacent ally. So she is about to do 2d8 plus 4d6 damage. And we're gonna roll it this time. We're not just gonna max it like I did for the tigers. So we're gonna get 2d8, 4d6 plus 2. Oop, that's not right. Alright, so that is going to be 33 points of damage, which is more health than I think they have. Right? Yeah, they have 22. So there's the one that's on Jurgen. You see, Imbar immediately. Imbar, more than anybody else, is the most practiced adventurer in the party. She's a hard-boiled adventurer through and through. She hops up out of her bedroll, pulls free the moon sword, and charges and just stabs it right through this tiger's throat. Just boom, right through the throat, like down into the heart, and immediately pulls it out, and that thing just crumples. One tiger down. Shock and awe. Amazing job by Imbar. Does Imbar have anything else to do? I don't think so. I think she'll just take up a defensive stance over Jurgen, specifically, who's down. All right. Well, that could not have gotten better. That was immediately what we need, and very shock and awe. So those tigers are going to have something to think about. Omer is awake already. Omer's up. He's going to be scrambling away from danger because that's not really his thing, but he will at least take his sling out and try to sling one of the other tigers. He only has a +3 to the roll. That's certainly not going to hit a tiger. So that's his turn. He backs away, closer to sort of Rimefire. After Omer, who's backed away, it is Leah's turn. Leah's up. I mean, Leah, is there any reason why she doesn't go straight for the wand of magic missiles? I guess maybe because she has her own host of spells that she hasn't used. I mean, she does have some new spells, though, that we really haven't had a chance to use, so maybe we use one of those. We could do Alter Self, we could do Blur, Magic Weapon. I assume that these tigers are still clumped up right now, so maybe she'll do Ice Knife. That seems like fun. We don't ever get to use Ice Knife, so let's use Ice Knife. Because usually we have friends right next to him, but we don't have any friends next to these guys right now. So she reaches out and creates a shard of ice in her hands and flings it at one of the creatures. She's going to need to make a ranged spell attack. It's going to take 1d10 piercing damage. Hit or miss, the shard then explodes. The target and each creature within 5 feet of it, which I assume will be all the tigers. All the remaining tigers need to make a dexterity saving throw. So she's got to roll to hit first. I think that'll hit. I don't think tigers have a particularly high AC. Yeah, that's a 12, right? Oh no, that's 15. Does a 15 hit a tiger? It sure does. Alright, so that tiger is going to take 1d10 cold damage right off the bat. Or, sorry. Yeah, 1d10 cold damage. So it's going to take 6 points of cold damage. Ooh, frosty. That first one's going to take 6 points, so that's going to put them down at 16. And then that's going to explode, so we need dexterity saving throws from all of them. What's their bonus to dexterity? Dexterity saving throw is +3. Okay. And Leah's DC is 14. So they need to roll an 11. There's 3 of them. Fail, pass, pass. That first one's the one that's already hurt, so that one's going to take 2d6 cold damage. Take another 11 points of cold damage. 1 to 5. Does anything else happen on Ice Knife? I don't think so. Nope, that's it. And Ice Knife is a first level spell, right? I believe so. I can double check. I believe Ice Knife is a first level though. I just never get to use it. It could have been better, but hey, we did it. And she's down. That's it. I think she also moves back again. She's going to move back next to Omer, so she's not directly in the melee. Which means it is the tiger's turn. We have one tiger that's very, very hurt though, so it needs to make a charisma roll under check to see if it stays in it. I think it just fails, so it's going to probably bound off. Yeah, its charisma is 8. So this hurt one's going to bound off. They have more than enough movement to get back up, sort of like the carved out stairway, to get out of line of sight to even be attacked by anything. So that one bounds away, but the other two are still kind of, well, now that one is bounded away, now they also need to make it. Because now they're down by 50%. So for those two guys, one of them's going to stay in the fight, but another one boogies out. So one of them leaves, but one's still here. And that one is going to jump at... Jurgen hasn't gone. Jurgen is still down on the ground. Ott hasn't gone. Ott's still down on the ground. Jurgen doesn't have any armor on, though. So going to go after Jurgen again. Jurgen's awake now, so not incapacitated. Because she got really effed up by the first tiger attack. But is going to move up, and I think it's going to do... Since she's already down, I think she's going to do... Okay, so it can pounce. It can pounce and then prowl. Try to combine those together into prounce. Maybe a little pow instead. So I'm gonna try to pounce on her and then move up to half its speed away, 20 movement back towards the door, and try to take the hide action. We'll see. See if they can find you in the shadows. But that is, there's not going to be a lot of shadows now that the moon sword's in play. It kind of throws light up in a way. That and the campfire means that it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult for them to hide. So I'll probably give them disadvantage on that check. But they are going to attack first. They get to do +5. They are going to have advantage. There's nothing that Imbar can actually do to stop that tiger from getting to Jurgen. So it's going to jump on Jurgen again. Certainly going to hit Jurgen with no armor on and do 2d6 damage plus... Oh, minimum damage. +3, right? Yes. So she's only going to take 5 points of damage, which isn't too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Not feeling great, though. And then it's going to move away and try to hide. Going to have disadvantage on that hide check, though. Because now there's more light in here. Ooh, only a DC 10 to see them. I think everybody's passive perception is above a 10. So I don't think gonna be hidden from literally anybody. Yeah, no, everybody can see the tiger, so the tiger does not do a good job of hiding. But has backed away. It is Ott's turn. Ott's gonna get up out of her bedroll. Now, she does have armor on, so usually she would just shoot her bow, but I think she is going to take, since she is one of the few people that has armor on, she's going to move up and do more of a frontline thing, and not worry about wasting the arrows. So she's going to move in and try to make 2 spear attacks instead, which I think is what she'll do. So she has a +5 to these. That's a miss on both of them. No, wait. That 8's a hit. That's 13. That's their AC. So she hits with one of them. Whew, thank goodness. And does 7 points of damage. No. That tiger. It's down to 15 hit points. Yeah, that's all she can do. She doesn't really have a good bonus action here. She will maneuver around to maybe where she might be able to get into flanking with somebody. And it is Jurgen's turn. So Jurgen is fully bloodied now. Kind of getting up, kind of sitting up and finally getting out of her bedroll. This is all slashed up now, getting to her feet. Grabs her holy symbol and I think she's just going to use her basic spell, I don't think she's going to have anything that's going to be particularly useful here. She could bless, but it's a little late in the fight to bless somebody, since we only have 1 target left, or spiritual weapon. So yeah, I think she's just going to Starry Wisp. That makes sense to me. Helps if you spell it, right? Let's get the Starry Wisp. Starry Wisp spell. Alright. You launch a mode of light at 1 creature or object within range, and it's going to be covered in light anyway, so even more difficult to hide. Range spell attack takes a D8. It does upgrade because we are 5th level, so we're going to take 2d8 radiant damage, but gotta hit with the spell first. And her bonus to hit is 6. So she needs to roll a 7. No advantage. Just a straight roll. Ooh, but she definitely hits. So 2d8 radiant damage. That thing's going to take 12 points of damage. So not looking good. And it's got the Zelda 1 heart remaining. And shedding dim light. So not hiding. Everybody already knew where it was, but now it's literally giving off light. So no issues there. That was Jurgen. At the end of the round, there is Rimefire and the Kobold, and really I just care, is the Kobold going to get engaged? I don't think Rimefire at this point is going to get engaged. Is the Kobold going to get engaged? The Kobold is actively sleeping still. Like, has not woken up at all to this tiger combat. It just sleeps like the dead. Just cannot be awoken. Alright, back up at the top, that's Imbar. So Imbar's going to move into flanking and try to get an attack and try to end this real quick. And she crits again. Nice. Yeah, Kobold's a real great card. Alright, so I don't think there's any way she doesn't kill it. It has 3 hit points left. She cannot deal too little damage. But let's roll it just for fun. Because she is going to do another big load of damage. Actually, we rolled really badly this time. So she's only does a flat 20 points of damage. But that's certainly enough to kill the tiger. So, alright. That's the end of combat. As she comes in, I think she just slashes this one across sort of the throat. And there's just blood gushes out as she kills this tiger. She kind of looks around. Is everybody okay? And they go check on Jurgen, who's bleeding quite profusely. I'm okay. I'm okay. He just kind of breathes a little bit. So we're going to do a little bit of quick healing because there's still a chance we could have another encounter tonight. It's unlikely, but there's always the chance. So somebody needs to spend some hit dice. Jurgen's the only person who got hurt, I think. So I think she'll spend a spell. She'll do a second level Cure Wounds, so she'll give herself 3d8 plus her 3 back. 3d8 plus 3 back. And then probably spend some hit dice. Alright, so she gets 13 hit points back just straight up. Puts her at 39. And then, yeah, she'll spend a hit die, I guess. To see if she can get back up to full. Let's do that. 1d8 plus 1. 6, so that'll give her 7 back. Which I think just puts her just under, right? No, puts her actually exactly where she needs to be at 46. And she will, at the cost of 1 hit die and 1 spell. Which is a fair trade-off. And everybody, you know, you're going to tend it to. I think in another situation we'd probably have some words for the kobold, but since this kobold is also in front of Rimefire, we don't want to strain that relationship. So we're gonna let that dog lie, and we're just gonna go back to resting. Now we made it through 2. We have 3 more checks to get through the evening. We still have advantage on it. Oh, good, because that could have been another encounter. And okay, we made sure to not get another one. Throw the dead tigers beside the kobold. We could do that, yeah. But then, you know, the kobold's gonna wake up, or Rimefire's gonna look over there and be like, "Wow, what an amazing kobold guard I have! They slayed 2 tigers." The kobold's like, "I must have done it in my sleep. I don't even remember doing it. I entered a full fugue state where I murdered tigers, and I fought off tigers." He was like, "That's incredibly impressive." Alright, one more check. Oh, we saved ourselves a lot of grief because we decided to bunk up with Rimefire. So that saved us from multiple other encounters that we might have also had through the night. Okay, so the night passes, which means everybody gets their hit points back, which means that people get their spell slots back. And we don't have to worry. She only spent 1 hit die, so she definitely gets that back. And Leah's the only other person who used a resource. And of course, we just keep 1 marked off on Leah all the time because we just assume that she's always got mage armor kind of casted. That's a thing. You wake up in the morning, you cast mage armor. So it's really just one of my gripes why I think mage armor should maybe just be a class ability if it's something you're supposed to basically use every day. I mean, I guess you could be a wizard without mage armor, but that seems... It's real bad to have low AC and low hit points. That does not bode well for combat situations, which is, you know, the bulk of D&D, so. Alright, but that is the situation. We make it through the night, we had our fight, we wake up, everything is fine, as far as we can tell. So, we can head back into the miasma. We're close. We're about halfway there, I think, in this next day. Let's go ahead and roll it. We're going to wake up. Let's go ahead and roll our Constitution threshold. Hopefully real high. Big money. Alright, it's 10. So this is more about... Leah. Alright, we lost our exhaustion level. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Let's go up to 10. 10, and we are back to 0 on the progression. And I think that's probably where we're going to end it. So next time we'll pick up. It's the new day. I'm going to go ahead and move that tracker for our information. So we are technically on day 3. Right? Catherine got tired. No, I guess technically we're on day 2. No, it is day 3, isn't it? No. Man, I'm losing track of my own stuff. We got there. We've only gone out and come back once. So this is day 2. I think I already updated this. This is day 2, of which we've been hired. Unless we're counting the day that Rimefire hired us, where we just made the things. I don't think so. I don't think it makes sense to count that. Well, we did rest there. We have completed 2 rests there. So yeah, I guess this would be technically day 3. Alright, so that's day 3. So next time we're going to hit it back. We're going to make the trek one more time. We're going to try to get at least 1 progress done. Hopefully if we roll low on those threshold dice, we will come back and hit it. And I think we also restart. We fix our coverings and we restart this DC threshold. So that will restart when we hit it up next time. But yeah, that's going to be it for this session. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. This is always fun. It was really cool to be able to move in this chaotic miasma, and it's going to be its own little sort of adventure. It's nice to find out that Rimefire's okay, and it is, in his own way, progressing and maturing as a dragon, with all the goods and bads that kind of come from that. Right? We see that sort of pride that's coming up, but also, if we stay within Rimefire's good graces, we can continue to be. Might continue to be a powerful ally for us in the future. But yeah, that's it. So, lots of fun. We'll come back in next time. We'll see if we can really get to the source of the miasma, hopefully, and we can deal with that. We'll have to figure out what that is, though, because we do not know what this is. It might be a primordial bleed into the Chaos Forge, where all chaos magic comes from. Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to figure that out next time. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys, and I'll see you guys next time, alright? Bye.